All right. Welcome. Welcome online as well. We are going to study the Srimad Bhagavatam, the cream of Vedic literature. I have some feedback in the background. Let me just fix that real quick. As well, we are. So this is the best thing we could study. Srila Prabhupada, when he brought this movement here to the West, he put most of his efforts into translating and giving a commentary on this literature. Introductory literature is Bhagavad Gita. He made sure that that one was published first. It's also the most popular teaching of Krishna, but if you really want to delve depths into the wonderful teachings and just character of Krishna, then Srimad Bhagavatam is the literature for that. So we are going to study this together, and sorry, you're going to see my Amazon account here. It's not connected. Why? Is it plugged in? Oh, there it is. It's connected. Perfect. So, just make sure it can see better. All right. So we're going to begin with a few prayers. It's not actually ideal to just speak on these things without trying to evoke the mercy of the great teachers who have commented on such literature in the past and even composed the literature. So actually I'm going to ask one of you to... Oh, looks like the wire is a little... So control the prayer so everyone can see.
Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
So just zoom out a little bit. That one means I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. We'll just go through one little prayer a day just so we can understand what we're doing here. And we're offering obeisances to the spiritual master. In this case, Srila Prabhupada has opened our eyes here in the ISKCON movement. And we're eternally grateful, so we're going to share some of his literature and his work with the world. So, we'll continue on.
Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayagrupadanam Dadati Swakadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Patakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupa Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Samajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanutamscha Krishna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vacha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha पतितानां पावनेभ्यो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम
So that's the Mangalacharna. We're going to now get into the Srimad Bhagavatam itself. So we will go to, actually now we have to go to introduction. Actually we can go to the preface. Okay. So, can you guys see? So I need to zoom it in a little bit. Okay. So we must know the present need of human society. And what is that need? Human society is no longer bounded by geographical limits to particular countries or communities. Human society is broader than in the Middle Ages, and the world tendency is toward one state or one human society. The ideals of spiritual communism, according to Srimad Bhagavatam, are based more or less on the oneness of the entire human society, nay, of the entire energy of living beings. The need is felt by great thinkers to make this a successful ideology. Srimad Bhagavatam will fill this need in human society. It begins, therefore, with the aphorism of Vedanta philosophy, Janmad Yasya Yataha, in the first verse of the first canto, of the first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, to establish the ideal of a common cause. Human society at the present moment is not in the darkness of oblivion. It has made rapid progress in the field of material comforts, education, and economic development throughout the entire world. But there is a pinprick somewhere in the social body at large, and therefore there are large-scale quarrels. Even over less important issues, there is a need of a clue as to how humanity can become one in peace, friendship, and prosperity with a common cause. Srimad Bhagavatam will fill this need. For it is a cultural presentation for the re-spiritualization of the entire human society. Srimad Bhagavatam should be introduced also in the schools and colleges, for it is recommended by the great student devotee Prahlad Maharaj in order to change the demoniac base of society. Komara acharit pragyo dharman bhagavatan niha durlabham manusham janma tadapya dhruvamarthadam. This is in the 7th canto, 6th chapter, 1st verse. Disparity in human society is due to lack of principles in a godless civilization. There is God, or the Almighty One, from whom everything emanates, by whom everything is maintained, and in whom everything is merged to rest. Material science has tried to find the ultimate source of creation very insufficiently, but it is a fact that there is one ultimate source of everything that be. This ultimate source is explained rationally and authoritatively in the beautiful Bhagavatam, or Srimad Bhagavatam. So before we continue, I'm going to just get up on here the verses for the Bhagavatam. So these are nice. Parth, I'm going to ask you again to take control of the laptop. These are verses from the Bhagavatam that can indicate how we should view the Bhagavatam before reading it.
Namo Bhagavate नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये.
Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very news of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Narayan is an incarnation of the Lord from the heavenly world, Vaikuntha. Narayan Rishi is how one of the ways that Lord appeared into this world. He actually became a rishi that gave Vedic truth to all the great sages. And he's still actually said to be in the Himalayas practicing in through meditation for the benefit of the whole world and spreading Vedic teachings. Mother Saraswati is the goddess of learning, and Srila Vyasadeva is the composer. Shringatam
Samata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridyantasto hi Bhadrani Vidunoti Shunitsata.
Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, is the Paramatma, the super soul in everyone's heart, the benefactor of the truthful devotee. Cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge to his messages, which are themselves virtuous and properly heard and chanted. So Krishna in our heart, who's a benefactor of the honest, the truthful devotee, he'll cleanse the heart of material enjoyment, which is the very disease that is taking us away from our real spiritual enjoyment. They're these temporary things that can never fully make us happy. But for those who develop the urge to hear his messages, they'll be cleansed. And these messages are virtuous when properly heard and chanted.
Nasta prayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke
And that's by regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering service to the pure devotee. All that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, whose prayers are transcendent in songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So by regular hearing of this Bhagavatam and rendering service to the pure devotees, everything that's troubling you in your heart will be almost completely destroyed, and then loving service unto the personality of Godhead will be established as an irrevocable fact. So I'll take that again. All right. So we're getting into the Bhagavatam a little bit here. We are already mentioned how this is actually a great need for human society. Prabhupada used the word spiritual communism. Communism, especially in America, is not an ideal word for many people. They're very scared of that word. And actually, the communism, that the way it's been spread in the world, it pretty much is everything. There's a oneness to everything. So everyone is sharing all the resources. Everyone is sharing everything, which ideally actually sounds quite nice. But the way it's actually practiced in this Kali Yuga, and we've seen it in places like China and Russia and a couple other governments in the world, is what happens is they make everyone share everything in the lower class of society. But there's always that one class, the leadership class, who will take all the power for themselves. And it's pretty much becomes like a dictatorship instead of the ideal of communism. But real spiritual communism, which the Bhagavatam is propounding, is actually a system in which everyone does their own duty in society. For what reason? To please the Supreme Lord. And if everyone were to actually do that, there could be a real happiness. And this is actually the great need of society. So this spiritual communism is actually the ideal system. And this is how things work in the spiritual world. Everything is centered around the Lord. But here in the material world, everything is centered around our own selfish desires and trying to grasp for pleasure in a world that actually can never fully give us pleasure. It's actually a punishment for this type of selfish mentality. that we're in a world where we're trying to grasp sand that's going to just slip through our fingers. But if we change our mentality, if we change our hearts actually, to service to God, which is the system of Bhakti Yoga. This is taught by great masters like Jesus. This is taught by even Muhammad as well. The need for serving the Lord with faith, love, and reverence. And then there's more different moods that one can serve the Lord in. But that comes deeper in the Bhagavatam. But the Bhagavatam is actually going to help change our hearts, actually, and show us the highest goal for human life. So, without further ado, we mentioned that disparity in human society is due to a lack of principles in a godless civilization. There is a God, or the Almighty One, from whom everything emanates, by whom everything is maintained, and in whom everything is merged to rest. Material science has tried to find the ultimate source of creation, very insufficiently. But it is a fact that there is one ultimate source of everything that be. This ultimate source is explained rationally and authoritatively in the beautiful Bhagavatam, or Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the transcendental science, not only for knowing the ultimate source of everything, but also for knowing our relation with Him, and our duty toward perfection of the human society, on the basis of this perfect knowledge. So, we'll know the source of everything and also our relationship with Him. This is called Sambandha Jnana, knowledge of our relationship. And then also our duty towards perfection of the human society. So we can have actually a heavenly abode right here on earth. If everyone were to actually take to these principles, which I'll give you a hint, it's most likely that not everyone will do such a thing. We can actually have heaven here on earth. And it's actually, there is mention of different societies that have took this up. One of them that's very popular is, they call it Ram Rajya, like the kingdom of Ram in Ayodhya. That how the spiritual principles they lived by actually brought a heaven in that society. Even in the Yadu dynasty, when Krishna was here in Dwarka, the way that they lived their life, it was better than heaven, actually. So this is possible. And the Bhagavatam is going to teach us how, but you can actually experience this type of beautiful living just amongst the society of a small group of devotees. And actually that's what we're trying to do here, starting with Mantra Central, but we were trying to create like a small group of practitioners by which, maybe the rest of the world's going nuts around us, but in our nice little bubble, we can create a very beautiful society. And we can live in that society and be protected by that society. And that's what the idea for ISKCON actually was in the Gaudiya Math before ISKCON. Srila Prabhupada's guru found it. But, because we are also surrounded by a material world of absolute madness, that may and will likely get disturbed. And then ultimately we have to point our goal towards beyond this temporary body, this temporary existence we're all living in, and striving for service to the Lord now and into eternity. So Srimad Bhagavatam is the transcendental science for not only knowing the ultimate source of everything, but also for knowing our relation with Him, and our duty toward perfection of the human society on the basis of this perfect knowledge. It is powerful reading matter in the Sanskrit language, and it is now rendered into English elaborately, so that simply by a careful reading, one will know God perfectly well. So much so that the reader will be sufficiently educated to defend himself from the onslaught of atheists. Over and above this, the reader will be able to convert others to accepting God as a concrete principle. So this is very nice. You're giving so much philosophical depth that even atheism has a lot of arguments. Actually, argumentation is the expertise of atheism. They're looking for concrete proof with senses that can never actually take in the concrete proof because they're very limited. But they have so many arguments, and actually that's what they base most of their time and energy on is skepticism, and there's no real faith. And not to say that faith, there should be some basis of faith, But usually what happens is atheists make a fundamental delusion that they think that their means of measuring the material world via the senses is the end-all be-all. So if they can't perceive it with their senses, then there's no reality beyond that. And if maybe they'll get a bunch of other technologies that they'll create that can even go even deeper into perceiving the material world, but still they have to perceive it with their senses, which are very limited. So, but if you understand this philosophical science given in the Bhagavatam, you'll actually be able to very expertly combat atheism, which is being taught in the schools. It actually is the mentality of even most religions. They still have an atheistic background with actually no real faith. Jesus is very famous for saying, if one had faith the size of a mustard seed, you could tell a mountain to move and it would move. Which, he was letting everyone know that they don't have very much faith at all, or really any faith. And without faith, actually, that's atheism. And this is actually the main enemy of human society. Kamsa, the enemy of Krishna, when he appeared, his prime lesson and embodiment, he was the personality of atheism. Trying to only focus on one's own strength, and never having faith in a higher order. And there is indeed a higher order. So, Srimad Bhagavatam begins with the definition of the ultimate source. It is a bona fide commentary on the Vedanta Sutra by the same author, Srila Vyasadeva. And gradually it develops into 9 cantos up to the highest state of God realization. The only qualification one needs to study this great book of transcendental knowledge is to proceed step by step cautiously and not jump forward haphazardly like an ordinary book. It should be gone through chapter by chapter, one after another. The reading matter is so arranged with its original Sanskrit text, its English transliteration, synonyms, translation, and purports, so that one is sure to become a God-realized soul at the end of finishing the first 9 cantos. The 10th canto is distinct from the first 9 cantos because it deals directly with the transcendental activities of the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. One will be unable to capture the effects of the 10th canto without going through the first 9 cantos. The book is complete in 12 cantos, each independent, but it is good for all to read them in small installments, one after another. So Prabhupada is really emphasizing the need to go through this book systematically. Actually, all transcendental literature we should go through systematically. I know Megna's smiling over there because sometimes we like to skip ahead or things like that. And when we go through it, but there's a foundational teaching from which the next teaching could lay on top of. So, for instance, if you were to do math, you can't do calculus without first learning algebra, or maybe addition, subtraction, all these things, right? So similarly, in Bhagavatam, we can't understand the higher transcendental science without laying the foundation. So it's very important. And it's actually very important after we go through these things. We might still have some remnants of material attachments, like I know I do. So I'm actually excited to go back through the Bhagavatam and really more concretely set my foundation with some of the foundational teachings. So that when we do talk of some of the higher teachings, it's not just flying over my head without a foundation. One of the things I've done in this world is be a yoga teacher. That's how I got into this. And I'm actually learning right now that I have a condition called flat feet. I don't know if you've ever heard of such a condition.
But the proper term.
I don't know the proper term, but it's the condition that I have. But basically what I'm learning is actually, since childhood, I never actually set a proper foundation with my feet to the earth, So many reasons, putting my feet in sneakers, and there's so many reasons for why that happens. Also even like laziness and things like that, not actually getting out and doing like that. But now I'm like having to teach myself how to walk again, which is a really odd experience. But it's analogous to what we need to do in Bhagavatam, where we need to really set the foundation in spiritual life before we can, really do anything. And I'm finding myself that so many of the activities that I've done with my body, and even the yoga poses that I learned, without going to that foundation and setting my feet and really grounding myself properly, I'm not able to do what I'd like to do in what quote unquote more advanced poses. Now that's yoga, but this is analogous to all things in life. If we don't set a foundation, it'll have nothing to stand on. Jesus again is very famous for making many parables, and one of the parables he mentioned was that we have to build our house on a rock, on a sturdy foundation. If we build our house on the shifting sands, it'll just crumble, and no matter what you build, no matter how great it is, it'll all crumble down and collapse. So similarly, in our spiritual life, we should go through this Bhagavatam systematically so that foundation is set. And we can really build our spiritual life on top of this without trying to build a house on an unsteady foundation. So we're really here to set our foundation. That's what Canto 1 and 2 are going to really set the foundation. They're compared actually to the feet of Krishna. I was just mentioning I didn't set my feet foundation, but when approaching Krishna, we start at the feet. This is Vedic culture, always touching the feet of one's superiors, trying to seek their blessings. We should always approach a greater personality humbly at their feet. And this is the way they can give their mercy to us. So now we're approaching Krishna in literature form in his wonderful Bhagavatam. And we got to start at the feet, getting the foundation. So, Prabhupada says, I must admit my frailties in presenting Srimad Bhagavatam, but still I am hopeful of its good reception by the thinkers and leaders of society on the strength of the following statement of Srimad Bhagavatam. Tadva, it's in the first canto, 5th chapter, 11th verse. Tadvag vishargo janataga viplavo yasmin pratishlokam abadavatyapi namanyanantasya yashon kitaniyach trinvanti gayanti grinanti sadhavaha. On the other hand, that literature which is full with descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, form, and pastimes of the unlimited Supreme Lord is a transcendental creation meant to bring about a revolution in the impious life of a misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literatures, even though irregularly composed, are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. This is a really nice verse from Bhagavatam. Any literature which is trying to bring out the descriptions and the glories of the name, fame, form, and pastimes of the Lord, it's actually a transcendental creation. And it's actually going to bring a revolution. It's going to completely upend whatever is going on in your heart. Ultimately, in the impious life that we've previously lived. And there's a whole misdirected civilization living impious lives. And this actual literature, the Srimad Bhagavatam, it could revolutionize everything. I know for me personally, this literature really upended a way of living that I had, which was not favorable. And it brought me to a much more favorable life. Now I've got a lot of work to do to go, but that's why I'm reading it again and again, to try and really establish this inside. So,
the word they use, revolution, because it really is, like if you see devotees who are there once coming, if you see, I'm like in between bars, I look like I'm in jail.
You're in the jail of the material world.
Yeah, Maya's got me. Yeah, because I've read this so many times because it's like in every canto, this introduction, but this meant to bring about a revolution in the impious life of a misdirected civilization. Because you see in a lot of practices, it's like, okay, you start to take things up and you add things into your life, but for the most part, your life stays the same, But like this practice in specific, it changes your whole life if you like sincerely are taking to it, Sometimes people we came in with so much baggage and so many things, but just naturally through the purification process and following the teachings and like cultivating the faith, it really is a revolution. I wouldn't recognize myself like where I am at now compared to where I was a few years earlier, you know? So I like that word because it's like inspiring, you know, it's like revolution.
Yes.
Revolutionize your life.
It's nice. Well, this country is built on that foundation of like
Yeah.
revolution. You know, we stuck it
We're revolutionizing art.
to the British who were, you know, treating us poorly.
It's also like inspiring, you know, because like if you're like just living like a mundane life and you're just going through the motions and it's just like it gets so stale. But like when you're really changing your whole life and like working towards something, it's inspiring for the whole life, you know.
So very good. Srila Prabhupada ends Om Tat Sat. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, dated at Delhi, December 15th, 1962. He wrote this. So this is well before he came to this world.
That's amazing.
There he is, right there, Srila Prabhupada. And that's his guru, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And that's his guru, Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj. And that's Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who is was contemporaries with Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji, and actually the father of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. Was huge in reinvigorating this movement started by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and
This says right there.
what's it say? The pioneer of the program to inundate the entire world with Krishna consciousness. And then this is the Sri Panchatattva. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Gadadhar Pandit, Advaita Acharya, and Srivas Pandit. And these 5 divine personalities came all within, you know, a couple generations of each other. They were all alive at the same time in around 1500 AD. You know, at the same time Christopher Columbus was supposedly discovering this country. They were actually awakening a culture of love of God and teaching people how to love God and, you know, really devote their lives one-pointedly towards loving God and making people blissful. Actually, that's the thing that comes with this process is, you know, it gradually makes one more and more blissful. And even if we can't taste it fully right now, it's noticeable. You know, it's a revolution from your unsatisfied self that you were living maybe a few years ago. You know, in just a few months' time, you know, you guys are completely different people. I watched my wife change quite significantly. But even you guys, you know, Parth here, 6 months? You're a completely different person. Meghna here, only maybe less, like 4 months or so, and completely different person. But yeah, that's what it does. It's going to revolutionize you. Many times we might meet people, even only like a year, and they don't even recognize us anymore because we're so much growth just keeps happening, and sometimes it's even unrecognizable. So tomorrow we'll get into, again, the introduction. You know, we kind of did the preface, which is like an introduction to the introduction. You know, so we'll stop sharing here.
It takes some time to get the nectar.
Yeah, it'll take some
Make you
time.
work for it.
Yeah, they're gonna make you work for it, but we're gonna we'll be ready. So now, anyone who joined us online, thank you. That's gonna be the class portion of this. We have our regular morning program now, which we're gonna have a little kirtan and open the deities. You guys can stay on and see that for yourself if you'd like, and if not, yeah, have a nice day. Hare Krishna. Jaya Guru Parampara, Guru Parampara, Guru Parampara, Guru Parampara.
Guru Parampara, Guru Parampara.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Charana Padma Kevalabhakati Sadma Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevalabhakati Sadma Kando Muita Vadana Mate Bando Muita Vadana Mate Yarata Salena Devava Toriya Devi Tulsi Maharani ki. Govindam Hari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Hari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Hari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Venum Planantam Marabindagaraya Saksham Arhavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Vandarpakoti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobha.
I'm not like really
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta
Hare
Thank you guys for coming live, and then if anyone did somehow join online, thank you for coming. Hare Krishna, have a nice day. We're going to actually do this every day, for the most part, probably not Sundays, but see you.